2, 1. Face.
Face? Oh, sorry. Sorry, folks. Lights are on. Nobody's home. Off to a rough start already. We weren't sure that Facebook was working. So we were kind of waiting for that to start spinning. But as I can see, everybody is joining us. So I want to say good morning to Lois Ann Pritchard. Hello. And Carol Mays. Hello. And Diane Hendricks. Hello. I hope you're doing well in California. And of course, my favorite Frenchman, Patrick. Love him. He's an adorable man. And Lorraine Thur, good morning. Nelda Sanders from Mississippi and Deanna Swindlehurst from British Columbia. Good morning. How's Fred? Inside joke. And Denise Chavez, good morning, sweetheart. I hope everybody's doing well today. I am feeling better, Carrie. Thank you very much for asking. That is so sweet. I appreciate it. And Sandy Hutton Scales, hello. And Gail Wolseley, good morning, sweetheart. It's so nice to see everybody on here on Saturday. It is an absolutely hideous day out there today. It is cold. It is wet. It's rainy. It's just ew. It's just an awful day. So that means that it's a perfect day to be in here painting today and desperately need some sunshine. So we're going to be painting lots of it today. I absolutely love anything like daisies, sunflowers. They're just bright and happy flowers to me, and I just love them. And one of my favorites is brown-eyed Susans. They're just such a cheerful flower. I mean, we see them all over the place here in the summertime. So hence the reason for the project today. We are doing Bright Summer Welcome. I love this one. A, it has polka dots, and B, it has bright sunny flowers, and what could possibly be better on a wet and cold, miserable April day. So, Linda, thank you. I hope you're feeling better too. Dear Linda had eye surgery last week and had a tough go. So hopefully you're doing better. And Carol Colbert, hello. What did I miss?
A $30 donation from Gail Wolseley, $1 a day for the puppers.
Aw, how sweet. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I've been sending our local shelter goodies as they've required them because they've been, lately we're inundated with a large number of dogs from Puppy Mill. And been sending them lots of goodies because they need it to look after all those pups. They had 19 dogs and something like 35 puppies. Yeah. It was insane. Closed down a Puppy Mill yeah, our little, and that was just the share that our little shelter got. Yeah. It was a rather large operation from what I gather. So, yes, we appreciate every little thing.
Dieppe SPCA, Moncton SPCA, Edmundston SPCA, Fredericton, St. John, and Oromocto all got dogs from the same puppy mill.
Wow. Crazy. That's hundreds of dogs. Hundreds of dogs. That's sad. But they're all being cared for. They've been receiving veterinary care and lots of food. We have a very generous community here, so both here on YouTube, and we have a very generous local community that supports our animal shelters around here. So it's they're getting by with all of these puppies, but it is a big job. So all the donations that we've sent from our group and that we have sent previously, and anything that comes our way as a donation goes directly to our Oromocto SPCA. They are fabulous. They've taken on so many puppers, and if you'd like to check them out, you can find them on Facebook at Oromocto Area SPCA Shelter. They're awesome. They do a great job in our area. There's Val Clemens. Hello, Val. And I'm just trying to say hello to a few people because you guys are amazing. Oh, what did I say? There's Truth Shall Set You Free. Lucy, our sweet Lucy, and Bonnie Duncan. It's good to see you. Oh, you guys are getting rain in Oklahoma, so are we. We are really getting it today. Lots and lots. And Kelly Davis says, our local shelter just took in 19 pups too, not sure from where. Wow. Crazy. And it's wonderful. And, you know, the thing about your local shelter, it doesn't have to be a huge donation to make a big difference. You can do a little bit of grocery shopping, grab a bag of kitty litter and drop it off at your local shelter. Grab a box full of tennis balls from a local shop. Absolutely anything that you supply for your local shelter goes to great use and is always a benefit and always appreciated. So just saying, every little bit helps. And there's Margie Eaton. Hello, sweetheart. And Elka Levantis. Hello. Is it Levantis or Lavanitas? Something I keep wanting to say it's a Greek last name, but the Elka kind of throws me off. She's a lovely lady. She's good. She is the sweetheart with Bronson. She has Bronson. He's an awesome dog. Oh, good. Good you can see to paint. And Joan Schoen and Sharon Klein. Oh my goodness, everybody's here today. And Loretta Lynn Bell, good to have you. So, two things. Big thanks to Linnell Watchcorn and to Sandy Barton. Thank you so much for your cards. You two ladies are just so sweet. I got both cards this week. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You made my day. And Renee is obviously in a hurry to go play with Maze because he's like a kid on Christmas. He's feeling the packages that are stacked up over, giving them a shake. We do have giveaways for today. We always have giveaways. I don't know why I always say that, but we have giveaways for today. I'm not absolutely sure what's in them. I packed them and now I can't remember what I put in them. But there's probably brushes and probably Tombow goodies, and there's definitely goodies from us. So we have 3 giveaways for today. Are you flicking ladybugs?
Yep.
You can tell spring is here. We have an invasion. We have ladybugs. At least one a day pops up in the house. I don't know why. So the giveaways for today, we have 3 of them. All you have to do to get your name on the wheel is just join in the chat, say hi, say good morning, chat with a friend that you see in the chat list, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, doesn't matter. It's going to show up in our list, and Renee takes all of those names off of that list, pops them onto wheel at the end of the day, and we spin, and 3 of you will win one of whatever's in those. Because I, for the life of me, can't remember. So,
you win something.
You're going to win something, and it's probably going to be good because we usually fill them up pretty good. So, yeah. It's been one of those weeks. Just saying. What is this? Vicky Osmus. Happy Saturday, everyone. Oh, you got Happy Mail. Good. You're very welcome, Vicky. We like throwing all these little extras in because we're lucky. Oops. I know she answered my question. Okay. Oops, Siri forgot the E. Okay. And Judy Thacker is getting a knee replacement. Good for you, sweetheart.
A knee replacement?
A knee replacement.
Like full joint?
Yep.
I just had the cartilage replaced.
Yeah. Brenda Hatfield, always very happy to see you, especially grateful for you giving a shout out to the Animal Shelters XO 30-year groomer. Wow. Brenda Hatfield, grooming dogs for 30 years. That's a long time.
Linda Morgan, my 12 days painting is supposed to arrive today.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm telling you.
Are most of those gone?
They're all gone.
They're all gone now?
We finally got them all through customs.
Wow, that took forever.
Oh, did it ever. I was sitting there the other day going, okay, it's been almost 5 months. It took 3 months to get boxes. Because they got boxes, they were the wrong size, so I had to send them back. And then they sent me the same size again, so I had to send those back. And then I finally got those back, and we started shipping them, and then they were getting tied up in customs, and finally, they have all cleared customs. Yes. All of them.
So all those paintings have new homes? And...
They all have new homes. They've started to arrive. I saw one arrived yesterday.
Hey,
or Thursday. I think it was Thursday. So I was very happy about that. Oh, Elka got hers yesterday too.
Oh, right.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm glad you got it. And Valman got hers on Saturday. On Friday. She was so excited. It was wonderful. Yes, Linda, hers took 9 months, remember? It got stuck in customs. 9 months. But I
It
finally...
hasn't even been 9 months since we did.
Oh, no, before. I had sent Linda a piece of artwork.
Right.
And made the mistake of calling it artwork.
Ah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nuts. Yeah, don't ever do that. And then to make matters
It goes
worse,
through a whole different process.
it goes through an entirely different process. Shipping artwork is a nightmare. So, yeah. What is this? Beverly, if you have questions, message me. Oh, yes, but knee replacement. It did, Elka, it did ship very quickly because I made sure it shipped quickly. It's been one of those never-ending headaches, but I'm so glad that everybody got their, or is getting their pieces. I have been watching the tracking numbers because I am terrified they're going to get stuck again. It's ridiculous. But anyway, problem sorted. Now it's time to sit and paint. We're painting Brown Eyed Susans. This is Bright and Sunny. Welcome. And it's got a ladybug on it. Ladybugs. Of which we seem to have a profusion. We have ladybugs. Yeah, it's the same one.
Probably the same one.
I watched Maze yesterday watch a ladybug walk across the carpet in the living room.
Oh, yeah?
She- Head down, staring at it, and then walking very slowly. What I was wondering what the heck she was doing, and I realized she was watching a ladybug walk across the floor. And the next thing you know, I've got both her and Aerie staring at the floor watching the ladybug.
Well, the cat and the dog are staring down
One little tiny ladybug. Yeah. Oh, good. If you can't print it on large paper, how much do you enlarge it? That's an excellent question. I'm not sure because I put it on.
Well,
I don't know what your printer is printing at, so yeah. I don't know.
Oh, like if they don't have.
If they don't print it on 8.5 by 14. I don't know what the enlargement is because I put them in actual size, so I have no idea. Yeah. A small but mighty. Bronson did that with a stink bug. They
Oh, stink bugs are bad for.
Yes, they are. All right. If you guys are ready to get started on Bright, Sunny Welcome, so am I. I love this one. How can you not love bright yellow, especially on a grim and gloomy day? Lisbeth Mendoza, good morning, Miss Tracy. Greetings from El Salvador. Wow. Vicky, I have 8.5 plus 11.
Give me 1 second to fix this. Mind you, it's
Fix what?
why won't you go away?
Oops.
Go away. Thank you.
So Renee's making an adjustment here of some sort. Okay, thank you.
Or no. That one. Thank you.
The surface, Deanna, is 12 inches. It's 12 inches from here to here. From end to end, it's 12 inches. And what's for dinner tonight? We are having grilled pork tenderloin tonight.
After we fixed your barbecue?
After you fixed my barbecue, yes. We had a windstorm here the other day, and it took my barbecue and blew it off the deck. So here we go. We're going to, this is not a difficult piece to paint. But this is, it is, I love the colors in it. I love this bright yellow, and I really love this little dimensional ladybug. I just think having that little extra oomph is it's just fun. And I think this would be so pretty hanging on a front door, but it's equally pretty sitting up on one of these little stands in the front entryway. So it's the first thing that people see when they walk through the door. Somebody asked me the other day why I painted it upside down. I've done this before. I think everybody does this, does it with the round side up. And I just think that it's a much more interesting piece with the flat side up. I think it's such a pretty piece. And it just gives, I don't know, I really like it upside down. And it actually sits very well in one of these little display stands. I got a set of 4 of these from Amazon. I think they were $20 for this set. Yes, we have the Surface and the Ladybugs available on the website. But yeah, it's a nice little display when you set it up this way. So that's what we're doing today. I took the design. There is a printable available on the website as well, a free printable that uses the same process. I just used one of these little cutting boards and the same little ladybug. I just think that it's such a cute little piece. You could put, a welcome or a hello or something like that up here and just have it, sitting in a room at the entryway if you don't have space for a big piece. I just think this is a fun one. And then we have these, especially for something like this, we have these little stands that glue onto the back like so. And then you can have these freestanding. They don't require, a separate stand. So again, it's just a really pretty and really simple little project that you can do with these instructions. So I really like these little cutting boards, especially you could do like the little hello, simple little thing. I just think that they're a really cute addition. And something fast. These actually work up in under an hour. This one worked up very quickly. Of course, I've already painted it several times, so that's the difference. Now, I've already traced my pattern on. We're going to use a polka dot stencil. I love polka dots. I really love polka dots. So we're going to stencil the background with polka dots. I'm not going to do the entire surface because with the line drawing it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to use it to put polka dots on. This is a 1/4 inch polka dot. The number for this stencil is M222. However, you could do this with a random polka dot. You could do this with a small check. I think a small check would be very pretty on this. You could use larger polka dots. You could use stripes. You could do anything you want with this background. If you don't have a stencil or don't want to use a stencil, you just leave it black. It's going to be fine. I'm just, moderately obsessed with polka dots. So hence the reason I use a polka dot stencil. The color that I used for this background is cobblestone. I tend to reach for cobblestone because I don't like the harsher contrast of using a white. I find that white is just a little too bright for this background, and it ends up competing with these daisies. So I like using something a bit more neutral, and that cobblestone works beautifully. It's light enough to give us a little contrast, but just a little. And it looks good against that black. And it's a warm tone, so it doesn't look drastically different from everything in the background, or in the foreground, I should say. But I love it. I love me a polka dot. So I think, let me see here. I think I've got all the polka dots that I need. There we go. So I'm just putting a smattering in the center. If you're working with a straight black background, you can do the whole thing. You don't have to just do the center, but I'm working with just the center for today. But I love this look. I love seeing little bits of color tucked into a background, something with some pattern, something with some interest. And polka dots are a really good way to do that. I love polka dots. They're fun and playful, and I think that works very well with the subject for this one. Goodness, Ann Fogg, hello. Only 15 minutes late today. So is the microphone going in and out? That could be me moving my head away from the microphone. But there we go. So one of the things that I like to do with any kind of a background when I've stenciled it, I like to distress it a little bit. So I take my sanding sponge and I just give it a light sanding, just enough to wear through those polka dots a little. Just softens them so that they're not really, really bright. I love them when they're just slightly worn and not perfectly solid. I like the subtlety of it. So we're going to start with our background. Now, this is black. I've used lamp black for the base coat. But one thing I like to do with black backgrounds is to keep them warm. Lamp black is a little on the cold side, a little harsh. So I like to keep it warm. So I'm going to take a little bit of asphaltum and thin it out. Now, when I've distressed everything and I've worn some of the edges down and whatnot, I like using asphaltum for this. Just put a light wash of thinned asphaltum over everything. It just warms it up, takes some of that harshness out of that black. Just gives it a slightly warm tone. There we go. And I'll straighten that out. I've left my line drawing taped to this so that I can lettering on when I'm ready. I know, everybody's surprised by the asphaltum. Yes, you'll notice that my stencils are utterly filthy. I usually collect them all up about once a week and clean them all. So you can tell that my stencils get a lot of use. It's been a busy week. I'm getting pieces ready for a Zoom workshop with some ladies in California in the fall. So I'm working on their project. And I'm working on our project for next Saturday. We're going to be doing the cutest little shelf sitters. I have to be very careful how I say that one because I've bungled it a couple of times already this week. It doesn't work out well. So we're working on little chickens for next week. They're really cute. They're a lot of fun. And again, surprise, they have polka dots. Hi, Cheryl and Tina. Hello. This one is just such a bright and happy piece. The first color we're going to use is a little bit of a warm white. Because we're working on black and because our flowers are yellow, we need to have a nice white base down. It doesn't need to be fully opaque. It doesn't have to be solid, but we do need to have a little bit of white down there so that we get that bright yellow coming through. So I'm going to use a nice big round. I've got a number 5 I'm using a black gold round. I'm going to stretch that up a bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm thinning out a little bit of warm white. And we're going to start with basing our petals. I try to do it in as few strokes as possible. One, if I can swing it. We're not looking for opaque coverage at all. I'm just looking for some white. They don't have to be perfect. So when you're doing these larger petals, just pull them all the way from the tip back to the point, and wherever possible, leave a little space between each of those petals. Just like that. I have always loved using this method for a couple of different reasons. One, using the white underneath acts as a ground. It gives the ability to put really light colors over dark ones, especially transparent colors like reds and yellows, colors that are notorious for not covering well. And reds or yellows are top of that list. So I like using a little bit of thinned warm white or gesso. If you're a gesso user, if you prefer to use gesso, by all means, just thin it out a little bit so that it goes on smoothly, and let some of those brush marks remain. Don't try to brush out those brush marks. They're going to work in your favor at this point. And this is a really great opportunity to practice your stroke work, especially with a round. Learning how to get that brush to splay, to get it to move and fill space the way you want it to. A little bit of brush control goes a long way when it comes to this type of thing. And like anything else, brush control is something that you develop over time. It doesn't come overnight. It comes over time. Brush control is learned. One of the best painters I've seen for teaching brush control is Donna Dewberry. That is what her one-stroke technique is all about. It's all about brush control. The entire process is about brush control, and she's got a great knack for teaching it. When to push down, when to release. It's a really great skill to have. I know when decorative painting was in its heyday, stroke work was taught. That was part of the curriculum when you were learning this art form, was learning brush control. So stroke work, learning to paint daisies. It was all about practicing those strokes, and they are vitally important. The mechanics of using these tools are important. And in the end, they make your life so much simpler when you master those things. Those techniques pay off big dividends. Learning to do that stroke work. It also makes things go much quicker. So you can see that I am not really worrying about whether or not these strokes are perfect, whether or not they're fully opaque. Those things really don't matter at this point. I love how colors pop on a black background, but there's a good dark brown. You know what, dark brown, my favorite dark brown is still asphaltum. Which, name to what, Deanna? Georgia, no, it doesn't age you. My very first foray with any type of brushwork was with oils back in the bad old days, so to speak. I started painting in 1975. Good afternoon, Deb, person who teaches stroke work. No, one stroke is the one that I was talking about, was Donna Dewberry. She's very good at teaching brush control. Her whole program, that whole one stroke program, is all about brush control. There's so many really great teachers when it comes to doing stroke work. Linda Sharp is flippin' amazing. Want a really great class on stroke work? Go take one with Linda Sharp. She's amazing. Traditional stroke work. Amazing. Oh, yes, Eileen, absolutely. And this pattern actually would be easy to move it all the way around the circle. And Marion Zwick Cohen's from Chile, Indiana. And Lori Windenmeyer, 1980. Wow, goodness. I was living in the Midwest in the U.S. and started when I first started painting, oil painting. And then when I came back to Canada, I took more classes and was painting landscapes and all sorts of other things. And then I moved overseas and went to school, and then I was doing everything, drawing, painting, you name it. So once I started studying art in a serious level, it was a different thing altogether. Sandy Jackson. Hello. Good morning. It's nice to see everybody here. So this comes together very quickly. Where did I live in the Midwest? I lived on a military base, and it's been a long time, so I'm not even sure what the name of the base is. It was a long time ago. And I was a kid. My father was in the Air Force, so we were stationed all over the place. We did time in the States, a lot of time in the States, going back and forth between Canada and the U.S. Elizabeth, how can I achieve cobblestone color? I use Decor Crafters paint. They don't have that color. If I'm not mistaken, there is a similar color in the Crafters acrylic. I can look it up for you, but it'll take me a bit. But a cobblestone is just a warm mushroom color. Somebody asked me the other day what color it was. It's a mushroom color right here. It's a very warm gray tone. So oh, Shelby, goodness. Boy, did I ever mess that one up. Here, let's do this again. I pulled the color in the wrong direction and I got a whole mess of... There we are. You know how you get talking, not paying attention to what your hands are doing? That was me. So I'm down to my last flower. And as you can see, I'm not really worrying too much about those ones in the background because we're going to put color in there anyway. There we are. Just the last few petals. This part is easy. Now we're going to do the base coating the same way. No, Kathy, the little board is actually a free printable. So you can find that in the free printable downloads on my website for this little board. But the written instructions for it are in the pattern. And there we are. The little board was one of those afterthought things. And I had a lot of those little afterthoughts. I was sitting here going, that would be cute painted on this, and that would be cute painted on that. Hi, Sherry. Oh, my goodness. Well, Sherry, tell your dad I hope he feels better soon. And Linda Morgan. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate you doing that for her. So we're almost done with these petals here. And as I said, this is just the base. Here we go. So I'm going to dry that. You're very welcome, Kathy. Midwest, Missouri. Yep. There we go. So I'm going to make sure that this white is really dry. Hi, Janet. Well, I love having you here. Thank you. Sue Potts. Yeah, YouTube seems to be punting some people off. I'm not sure why. Carol Duvall, she was such a wonderful lady. Oh, you know what, Kathy? This is such an easy little project. This is a fast one to paint. And it is fun, and it's just such a sunny and happy piece. I am much better today. Breathing's been really good. So one of my favorite yellows is this one, Sunny Day. I thought it was appropriate for this piece. And it's such a pretty, pretty yellow. So I'm going to use Sunny Day. I'm watching the chat wheel just fly by. This is this an 8-inch? Yes, it is. It's just a small one. It's just a small one, but it's so cute. I think it's so cute. And I love the ladybug. I've got this thing about, we have a lot of ladybugs in the house. So we're going to base all of these petals again. This time we're going to use Sunny Day. I love this color. Desiree Volmer, good morning. Or afternoon. I guess it is. So you're going to go right over top of that white. Just like so. And I start at the outer point of each of the petals and I pull back towards the center. And if they overlap, it's okay. It's a flower. They do that. I do have them on the website separately. I'll have to check. Maybe. But we will have them. They will be up there today. We've got a super cute project for you next week. I'm feeling very country lately. I haven't painted something just frivolous and fun and silly in a very long time. And I was feeling very frivolous and fun and silly the other day. So I have a series of ornaments, chicken and pig and a sheep. And I was sitting here the other day playing. I have a tendency to pick things up and sort of figure out what else I can do with them. Yet we do have ladybugs separate. Anyway, I was playing with this chicken ornament, and I realized that the chicken ornament has a flat bottom. And so I dug out one of my little stands, and I've been playing with them. So I made a series of little shelf sitters I'm working on. So I happen to think they're really cute. But I have a thing for chickens. So I've been playing with them. So next Saturday, we're going to be doing these little shelf sitters. I have to be so careful with that because I have messed it up too many times this week. Good morning, Patty. So we're going to be doing some fun little critters next weekend. I like, every once in a while, I just like to get away from doing, the big elaborate pieces. What size brush am I using? I have a number 5 round. I'm using a Dynasty Black Gold number 5 round. Here we go. Look at that. I love how yellow pops off of a black background. There's just something about yellow. I think we need happy right now. Everybody needs happy right now. Life's just too uncertain these days. So we need happy. We're going to paint happy things, fun things. It's just too much craziness in the world. So we're going to paint happy. Darn it. You're getting chickens in your backyard. Good heavens. Karen, you've been painting for over 60 years and you still learned something from me? That's good to know. Thank you for that, Karen. I love this art form. I absolutely love it. It's just so much fun. You meet the best people. Honestly. I mean, I've met my best friend through painting. I think there's a number of us that have. When you meet that person whose crazy matches your crazy, and it's easier to do when you're in a building or a room or on a YouTube channel where all the people that are there all match your crazy. So it's a good thing. Isn't it? Sunny day is a bright and happy color. I love sunny day. I just think it's such a gorgeous yellow. Interestingly, yes, we do need happy, Karen. We need happy. My mother told me once, a long, long time ago, that nobody is responsible for your happiness except you. So you have to make your own happy. Always. So I make my own happy. I just share my happy with everybody, whether they want it or not. That's just the best way to do it. So there we go. I love this yellow. Like, how pretty is this? Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, what if I don't get it all covered? If I don't get all that white covered, does it matter? No, it doesn't. I think one of the things that makes these flowers look so light is that I'm not really worrying about whether or not everything is fully opaque. I don't think that it really matters. If a little bit of that white shows, so be it. It's all good. If it's not completely opaque and we see lines in the surface, it's all good. It just doesn't matter. There's just nothing is that important. If you want your flowers to have this light and airy look, then you have to just go with it. It happens. Let them happen. If you miss a tiny spot of white, it's okay. Oh, wisteria is so pretty. I bring people joy. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad I make people happy. I like to think that I just encourage them to be happy, that's all. There's an old saying that if you look for the beauty in things, you'll find it. And the same goes for the dirt. Pat Morgan, as I make my own crazy, that's what makes me happy. Exactly. You know. If you never laugh, they give you medication. And if you laugh too much, they give you medication. So I would much rather spend my time going through life smiling and laughing than any other means. It beats the tears. Can I show the breadboard again? Absolutely. It's such a fun little piece. Such a fun little piece. Sunny, bright, happy. I think if you cannot find the joy in picking up your paintbrush, then you need to paint more. Sometimes we just don't feel like painting, and that's okay. Sometimes life just hands you too much, and being creative is just outside of your abilities for a while, and that's okay too. But there comes a point, I think, when you start to find the joy in things again, and then you pick up and then just paint for the joy of it. Don't paint because the joy of it. That's why I say it doesn't have to be perfect. You're not painting to impress somebody else. You're painting for the joy of it. Neatness doesn't count. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. It's unachievable. Perfection is unachievable. That doesn't mean that you don't take your work seriously, that you don't work hard to get things just so. It just means that you are not required to set yourself on fire to please somebody else. How big is the ladybug? It is a 2-inch ladybug. Just a little one. You have an arbor. That's my patio transplant. Oh, I love the idea of wisteria. It doesn't grow here. I wish it did, but it doesn't grow here. It's too cold. My Serenity Crafts. This is a lovely lady. If you don't follow her channel, you should. She's amazing. Good to have you with us, honey. My Serenity does a little of everything, and she does it so well. Lots of fun stuff. She has really cool ideas, so go check her out. hit the subscribe button on her YouTube channel. She is absolutely awesome. I've been following her for quite a while. Is it flat or domed? It's flat. It's just cut from a piece of MDF. Yes, absolutely, Linda. It does take the pressure off you, and that's the whole point. And we are our own worst enemies when it comes to that. We have a tendency to put more pressure on ourselves than anybody else does. So that's my attitude towards it is, neatness doesn't count. Perfection. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. So we put way too much pressure on ourselves. So look at that. We have daisies. I have a new favorite color. Well, it's been a favorite of mine for some time now. It's called Red Spice. I love this tone. It's a bit more orange than, say, a burnt sienna. And it's a lot more transparent. And so this makes a great shading color for these flowers. So I love Red Spice. It's a great tone. And I'm going to use one of my small angled shaders. I like my, oh my goodness, I think that one didn't get cleaned. It's stiff. I'm going to use a 3/8 black gold angled shader. Here we go. So I'm going to shade my flowers with a little bit of thinned Red Spice. You're going to blend this out really well. You don't want it full strength. It's quite a strong color, although it may not seem like it. It's a very strong color. And you're going to shade the base of the petals, like so, and where they overlap, where those petals overlap, like that. Nice little float down at the base. It's such a lovely tone. I like this sort of autumnal color value in there. It's so pretty. And it plays very nicely with that yellow. Red Spice came out a couple of years ago. And so it's a great color over yellows. Of all yellows, I've used it on all kinds of yellows, and it's beautiful on orange too. So shade underneath other flowers, separate petals. It is a gorgeous tone over yellow. It just gives everything that nice little warmth, that toasty tone, which I love. Everything seems to be going swimmingly.
Swimmingly?
Mm-hmm. So, there we go.
Is that a new color?
It is not. It was a new color a couple of years ago. Here we are. I mean, Sarah has done so many things on her channel. I love watching her decorative painting. I love watching it when she does a variety of crafts, whether it's card making and paper crafting. She's wonderful. She's got a very laid back attitude towards it. And she's just fun. There we are. So again, this float is not absolutely perfect. It's just to get a little color down in and around, especially around the center. Denise, it's My Serenity Crafts. Sarah's the person that runs it. give her a follow. She is a lovely lady. She does neat things. Aw. Sarah who? Sarah is on My Serenity Crafts. She's an awesome lady. Does a little of everything, and she's so talented. There we go. Do I float with medium or water? Linda, I float with my Jo Sonja's Fast Dry Glaze. This is what I use to float with. So I touch the surface till I just get enough water, or not enough glaze in my brush. And then I float with that. I just find that it makes for very nice fluid floats. It also makes for very stable floats, meaning that the color that goes on stays there. The problem with using water for thinning paint and whatnot has always been that you can very often over dilute the paint. And when you do that, you end up separating the pigment from the body of the paint. The name again is Jo Sonja's Fast Dry Glaze. Just a second, I will find my bottle and show it to you. Maybe I won't. I can't find it now. Shit, no, that's not it either. Hang on. I will get a bottle so you know what. This is what I use. Jo Sonja's Fast Drying Glaze Medium. I love this stuff. I use this for everything. For thinning paint for line work, for doing my base coats, for floating, for detailing, for sealing my surface. I love this stuff. I use it for a whole bunch of things. Your next video is beaded plants. Oh my God. Beaded plants. Oh my God. See, she does everything. So yes, I have been using Jo Sonja's, or a variation of it, for a very long time. There was a product called Finny a number of years ago when I worked for the company. I used it all the time, but it's extremely hard to get now. So I was supposed to have some delivered to a convention, and the shipment got lost. And so I needed a medium for my class because we were doing something that required it. And somebody asked me if this would work. And I ended up going to the Jo Sonja booth and buying up about 8 or 10 bottles of the Fast Dry Glaze. And I have been using it ever since because it's awesome. It works like I was going to say like a hot damn, but but you get it. It works really, really well. So again, you're using that color to lift everything. Oh, thanks, Gail. That's good to know. If you're looking for some Jo Sonja's, it's all on sale on her website right now. So I'm going to finish shading this last flower. Whoa, good heavens. Just saw Facebook just flew by there. Okay. Fast Dry Glaze Medium, you can get... Sharon, you're Canadian, right? Yes, Finny is Canadian, Sue. Sharon, I actually get mine from Country Bear. I order from him. He's fantastic. Country Bear. Their website is country-bear-wood. Yes, there is. The fast dry glaze is very thin milk. It has a very liquid consistency. The regular glazing medium is thicker, and this works more like water does. So this one is much more effective for my purposes. Yeah. Yeah. Sharon, you can get fast dry glaze from Country Bear Wood. So it's www.country-bear-wood.com. Yeah, they're fantastic. I've been dealing with Country Bear for years, and they are very, very good. So almost finished with this first shading. I love this color. And now I've got a little bit to do underneath here. There we go. Look at that. Love this color. That just gives everything oomph. Such a fun color. So we want to sort of continue this curve, which is what that first shading did. It creates the start of that curve. You can see the petals folding and folding away. So that little shadow that we put in there sort of accentuates that. So now we're going to make that even more obvious. We're going to use this. This is saffron yellow. I love this color. It's another one of my favorites. Saffron yellow. I'm going to move my palette around here so I can see what I'm doing. I've got a little bit of saffron. This one is a very bright yellow. It's a high saturation yellow. And it is... Hi, Sky! You just became a member. Well, awesome. So we have a little bit of saffron yellow. This is a highly saturated yellow. And this is going to give us that oomph that we need. And I'm going to show you where this color is going to be positioned. We're going to put it afloat right at the tip of the petals, like so. Top 1/3. Look what it does for that yellow. About the top 1/3. So this is why I said if little bits of that white are still showing, it's okay. This is why, because we are putting on that. Look at what that yellow does. It just comes screaming off of there. So this is going to give our petals a whole bunch of oomph. Look at that. I love saffron yellow. It's very transparent. It must have a more opaque yellow underneath it, or all you're going to see is sort of a, I don't know, a muddy color on the black. It needs that lighter value, like butter and sunshine. It is, exactly. So now look at the difference between this daisy and that one. We've got really nice contrast. It looks nice and bright. And it has that vibrance that we need. I'm a big proponent of immediate gratification, and this yellow gives it to you. If you like immediate gratification. Yep. So we have, the membership group has 2 tiers. There is the Create with Tracy group, and then there's the Create with Tracy video group. Now, the video group, you have access to all of the recorded classes that my Create with Tracy membership group does, which is quite a bit. They're a busy bunch. And then we have the Create with Tracy. That one, we have a live class specifically for the Create with Tracy group. We do challenges via our Facebook group. We do free downloads. We have free pattern every month. We have oodles of things. Not to mention, it's a really amazing community. The people that have become part of it are practically have become family. They're just a phenomenal bunch, and they're incredibly active. If you have any questions about the membership group, there is an information page on my website in reference to it, but there is also, you can talk to any one of the members and get their feedback. They're a great bunch of people. Like I said, our Create with Tracy membership group they're awesome. So look at that. Good to have you with us, Sky. Deb Daniker, hello, sweetie. Anna Fleury, fantastic. I'm so glad it took a whole month for it to get there by mail. Good Lord. That's ridiculous. I am so glad it finally got there. I have no idea why it takes so long. The mail is ridiculous. Look how fun they are. I love that saffron yellow. Look at that saturation. It's just so pretty. So, and this is a forgiving part because you're not looking for that absolutely perfect float. We're looking for that saturation at the point. Pony Express, I'm thinking, I think maybe it went by canoe, honestly. We don't hang on to orders. They don't stay here very long. They're in, we pack them up, we get them out. We try to get them out as quickly as possible. Whenever possible, depending on the size, we will send them out via courier. They go very quickly, but from time to time, things have to go via letter mail. And when they do, then they tend to be a little on the slow side. I love how they're happy flowers. That's what I love about Brown-Eyed Susans. They're happy flowers. So you're going to continue to put just that little float of color, about 1/3. It's not a perfect float. It's just getting a little color out at the tip. I use the term float because we want the darker value towards the point, and then we want it to sort of fade out as it goes along. We just don't want a band of color. We kind of want it to soften and transition into the other yellow. So that's why I say float, but it's not a perfect float by any stretch. Margie, I have absolutely no doubt that what you did was beautiful. Margie's one of our members and she's extraordinary. So talented. Here we go. So almost there. Don't you love that? I love this little punch of yummy yellow. It's like when you varnish something after you've worked so hard to paint it. and you see the colors pop when you put the varnish on. That's how I feel about saffron yellow. It just gives you that same, ooh, I love it. It's so, so pretty. There's Chris Neese. Brenda, thank you. The brand of brushes that I use, I am a Dynasty girl. I use all things Dynasty. And all of the brushes that I use on the regular can be found at thebrushguys.com. And you can use my name, Tracy M. And when you order, you get a discount. They're very generous to people who follow me. Not only are the brushes already discounted prices, but you get a further discount just for mentioning my name, which I find hilarious, but, you know, every little bit helps. That's how I look at it. The brushes that I use the most often, those that paint with me on a regular basis, they know which brushes I use. I use a 3/8 angle, a 1/2 inch angle. I use a number 5 round, a 5/0 extra long detail liner, and I use a fugly brush. The brushes that I use the most often tend to be very practical brushes, very workhorses. Do I like the water lily brushes? Yes, I do. I do have quite a few of them, actually. This one, 3/8 Dynasty Black Gold brush. It's the 3/8 angle. I use the 3/8 in the Faux Squirrel, the Black Gold, and also in Water Lily. Oops, that's not a Water Lily brush. I don't know where that came from. I also use the Water Lily. I was trying to find one. Here it is. So Water Lily is the ones in the with that coral handle. And yes, my Dynasty Faux Squirrel, number 2 and number 0 riggers. Those ones are vitally important. So I don't have a huge brush list other than stencil brushes. I don't have a huge brush list. And it doesn't vary a whole lot. I'll be honest about that. Lillian, good for you. Thanks for joining us, sweetie. So, when it comes to brushes, these all vary in price. Some are more expensive than others. Some are less expensive. You can't go wrong with any of them, quite honestly. Hi, Carolyn. You found us? I'm so glad. Do I ever use flats? Not very often. If I use any type of a brush other than a round, it's usually a Felbert. I don't often use flats, no. I love my Dynasty Faux Squirrel. Yeah. Oh, I love Campobello Islands, Sharon. Ooh, Kay, I think Renee might have an answer for that one. Oh, floor cloths, if they're properly finished, are beautiful. I am actually considering doing a floor cloth for one of our lives. I was going through stuff in my storeroom, and lo and behold, came across a bolt of... What's the difference between water lily and faux squirrel? Water lily has a different type of filament. It is a bit softer. It's made to mimic something like sable. It's very soft, holds a lot of water. Dynasty Faux Squirrel is designed to mimic a natural squirrel hair, but it's a synthetic. It's a little bulkier. It also holds a ton of water. Both brushes were designed for watercolor originally, but work equally as well with acrylics and with oils. I will say this, if you like a really soft brush, then you will love the water lily. If you like a brush with a little more snap, then you'll love the faux squirrel. If you want something that's sort of halfway between the two, then you'll love the black gold. Gee, Burroughs, I'm so glad. So we've got, look at all that bright yellow on there. It's like, holy Moses, look how bright. So I'm going to grab, I've got a dry brush here somewhere. Is that it? That is a black silver. A little stiff for our purposes, but it will do. I have a mezzaluna. I could use the mezzaluna, but it's too big. So you're going to need a small dry brush for this next step. You could use this type, which is the domed variety. Or you could use the mezzaluna, which is like the crescent brush from years and years and years ago. The mezzaluna is a dynasty brush as well. These ones are a combination of natural and synthetic hair. A little softer than this one. This one is a natural hair, but this is a goat's hair, and it's a little stiffer. This one is stiff and soft at the same time, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to use the mezzaluna. This one's a little big for my purposes, but I don't think I have a smaller one. But I'll show you what we're going to do. So we're going to take a little bit of warm white. Tiny bit of warm white on our mezzaluna. And you're going to burnish this until the brush is nearly dry. And you're going to go to the center portion of each petal. So halfway between that first shading and that bright yellow at the end. And we're going to put a dry brush in the center of the petal. Just like that. This helps give those petals an even higher curve. It accentuates the arch in the petal, that curvature in the petal. So make sure this brush is dry. And you're going to put that highlight in the center of that petal. Just like that. And so your flowers all of a sudden take on a little more light. Okay, what type of brush are you using right now? I like the water lily brushes because they're a little softer, and I tend to grab them for certain things. But I like the softness of them. Especially for floating. They're fabulous for floating. And then when it comes to not being sure about whether or not I'm going to like a brush, I will usually get one or two in different sizes and then try that. So if I'm going to plan on using it for floating, I'll get two sizes at one angle in two different sizes and try it. And then that way I haven't invested a fortune in new brushes on something that I'm not going to like. So that little bit just in the center of the petal, each petal. And it gives that petal really nice light. Not to mention it's soft. Look at that. Nice bright flowers. Like I said, in the middle of that, halfway between those two first shadings, that darker red and that bright yellow, that saffron. Everything just pops. They are quite a soft brush. Yeah, if you're not a fan of a soft brush, if you're using faux squirrel, you may find the water lily a little too soft. But again, if you're painting in watercolor, you may love them. I like them for certain things, but I'm a huge fan of the faux squirrel. I love how the faux squirrel's a very responsive brush, holds lots of liquid, does everything I need it to do. There we go. Here we are. So we've got nice bright white, that little bit of white on those yellow petals right in the middle. Look at how sunny those are. There we go. I love that. Little dry brush does wonders for this. Do I ever use a dry brush to add highlights? From time to time. I just did. It's all this is a little highlight in the center of those petals. I like highlights in certain things. Or I like dry brush in certain things, I should say. It all depends on what I'm looking for, what kind of an effect I want to create. I wanted something soft. I didn't want it to look shiny. I just wanted it to look soft. There we go. Love it. Love it. So we're going to do these leaves now. I love delicate, pointy, airy looking little leaves. I'm going to be using one of the new colors from Decor, this avocado toast. Oh, a stiff dry brush? Yes, I do. And the ones I like are these. These ones are from Black Silver. These are probably one of the most inexpensive brushes that Dynasty makes, aside from the Eye of the Tiger. They make a line of these. They had intended them for things like fabric and whatnot. And this one is a natural bristle. It's a dome dry brush. And I just love this one. When I want a really true looking dry brush kind of course and whatnot, this is the one I gravitate to. I love it. And yes, I like the stiffer brushes for canvas. So we're going to use... Yes, Iris, you're absolutely right. The surface makes a big difference. I like faux squirrel on canvas as well, but it's also a heavier body brush. It's got a lot more bristle in it. And the bristle is a little firmer than the water lily, so it's ideal for canvas. Some people like it stiffer still, something stiffer, and then they gravitate towards some of the more long-handled brushes. There is one, a New York Sable that they make that is absolutely beautiful. What size is this one? This is a number 4. Comes in, I think, 3 or 4 sizes. I really like this one. It's number 4. So we're going to come back to that number 5 round that we were using, and we're going to base coat our leaves. And again, I'm not worrying about getting it fully opaque. I never do. So again, I always start at the tip of the leaf and pull back towards where the stem joins. And again, I'm not overly concerned with whether or not these leaves are fully opaque. We're going to put 2 other colors, possibly 3, over top of this. So there is really no point in worrying about whether or not they're fully opaque. By the time we're done, they're going to be opaque enough. So there we go. Look at this. I start at the point and I pull back towards the base of the leaf. I like this green. I thought at first it was going to be a little too transparent for my purposes. I love a good earthy green. I'm a big fan of antique green. I love that color. And I'm always looking for a nice green. And this one is just lovely. It has a really nice earthy tone to it, but it's still a pretty green. It's still got a lot of yellow in it. And absolutely, perfection is to be avoided. Look at that. Such a pretty green, and it really looks great with this yellow. This yellow is so warm, very sunny, very happy yellow. I like it. It's gorgeous. Okay. Okay, I missed the leaf. I actually put it in the wrong spot, but that's okay. There we go. And I got a couple more leaves here. Tuck that in. The color I'm using is called Avocado Toast. This is one of the new colors that Decor put out this year. There's a couple of those new colors in this pattern. I'm going to switch to a rigger because I'm going to do... We've got a couple of stems to paint in right here. Just so our daisies aren't floating, they have to be grounded a little bit, like they're connected to something anyway. So they have to have a stem, even if it's just a short one. And in this case, this one goes in behind our flowers. There it is. Okay. Look how pretty. The yellow was sunny day, yes. I love, there's nothing like getting new brushes. You know. So I'm going to make sure this is good and dry. The last thing I need is more brushes. I know it even sounds yummy, doesn't it? Look at that. So our daisies are really taking shape now. So my shading color for this avocado toast, I'm using black green. It tends to be, I have two go-tos when it comes to shading greens. It's either plantation pine or black green, either or. I love those two tones. And they kind of walk the line so that you can pretty much shade almost any green with either of them because of the way they're made. So I like black green. I don't use it full strength and I blend it out well. And the shading on these leaves is super simple. So let me get this up close. So look at this leaf. It is not perfect. It's got brush marks in it. It's not fully opaque. It's just, no. So I'm going to float black green. I start about halfway down. I float down to the tip where it joins the stem and I bring it up the other side. So it's kind of a U-shaped float. And it creates that curve. Remember, we were talking about the curve with the petals causes them to bend over. You need the same thing with the leaves so that they're not flat. Even though they're on a flat surface, they don't have to look flat. So we're going to float a little in, just like that, little U-shaped float. Darkest value towards the bottom of the leaf where it joins the stem. And it comes about 1/3 of the way up. So it's only covering about 1/3 of that leaf. So, nice crisp, U-shaped float, darkest value down towards the bottom where it joins the stem. Just like that. And this is also, when you see it shading underneath these things, this is why I never worry about making sure that the color goes all the way to the edge of the petal. Hi, Maylee. It's nice to see you on here. Are you painting with Faye today? Maylee is perhaps our youngest viewer on here. And she paints with her good friend Faye, Miss Faye Reed, who is a dear friend. She is so sweet and talented, I gotta tell you. She paints with Faye. She does wonderful things. Oh, Maylee, you're quite welcome. I'm so happy you like it. I was so happy to do that for you. I was fortunate enough to have Miss Faye come and join me for an afternoon, and we had tea and we chatted and we just caught up because we don't see each other very often. So it was just a lovely day, and I sent her home with some goodies for Miss Maylee. Sandy Scales, hello, sweetheart. Oh, Kay, I'm with you. I don't see Faye here either. She might be away. She might be busy. I have been going through my stash because I have a rather significant one. And I found a bolt of fabric for floor cloths. So I thought, oh, I've got to do something with that. You know, floor cloth, table runner, something along that line anyway. Because I can. And I think it would be fun to do something a little out of the ordinary. Floor cloths were hugely popular in the late 80s and early 90s. I painted a large number of them. I think it would be so fun to do a floor cloth. And there's so many products available now to seal them with and to make sure that they're non-slip and all of those wonderful things. I think it would be a good idea. So, we have our leaves shaded. Love the look. I love this look. So, my highlight color for greens tends to be, what brush do I use for the centers? We're going to do the centers in a second. I haven't done anything to the centers yet. The color that I use for the leaves and highlights on leaves a lot of the time tends to be Margarita. I love this green. It is just such a high yellow green. It's highly saturated, and it is a great highlight color for those earthy greens. So I'm going to use just a small amount of Margarita. Little bit of Joe Sonia's on my brush. I pick up a little bit of Margarita. I'm going to blend this out well. Again, I don't necessarily want this full strength. So we're going to highlight the same way that we shaded. We're going to take the brush to the edge of the petal of the leaf, and you're going to bring it out to the point and then back down the sides. Little U-shaped float. Just like that. And that's the top third of that petal, of that leaf. Oh my goodness. Bunny ears. I know some of you heard me use that saying before, bunny ears. A few years ago, I did a project piece that involved bunny ears sticking up out of a garden. And every time I would tell them to paint a petal or a leaf, I kept calling them bunny leaves instead of ears. So now when I mess up something like that, I say bunny leaves because that's exactly what it means. It means that I've messed up. So little float out to the tip of the petals. And the color is Margarita. Margarita. I love this green. It's such a happy green. And especially for this piece because it conveys light. Lots and lots of light on the tips of these petals. Look at that. Have I ever painted on faux leather? Yes, I have. Floating with an angled brush is actually a lot easier than working with flat shader from my point of view, especially for students because the way the angle is cut, it is easy for you to see what you're doing. Whereas with a flat, it's hard because you're working straight up and down. It's difficult sometimes to see what you're doing. And the angle is so much nicer. I've always found it to be anyway. And I like that little crisp point on these leaves. So little float, Margarita out to the point. Just like that. I love this. I love working on leather. I painted a pair of boots for a trade show a couple of years ago and wore them. I had skulls painted on my knee-high boots for a trade show in Germany. And I also did the purse, and I did a couple of other pieces on leather, and it worked out beautifully. That way. Oh, look at you. Oh, I've done quite a few Lazy Susans too. They were a popular surface at one point. There. I just got one here I want to brighten. So there is our highlight on our leaves. Look how pretty. So now we're going to, remember the little dry brush thing I talked about? You need a smaller dry brush for this part. I'm going to look and see if, there's my little mezzaluna. I have a teeny tiny mezzaluna. I'm going to take just a teeny tiny touch of warm white. Just a little. That brush should be almost dry. We're going to, little dry brush. Center of the leaf. Just a quick one. Nice and light. Remember what I said about that on the flower? It's just in the center between those two colors. Look at your leaves. I like that little dry brush. It just gives those leaves a little extra oomph. So we're going to do the center of these flowers. I'm going to find my round. There it is. And the color we're using is asphaltum. And we're just going to dab asphaltum into the center so that it just barely overlaps those petals. Make sure it's crisp and clean up to the edge. Just a little asphaltum. Each flower gets that in the center. you can just dab it in. Doesn't have to be perfect. Et voila, look at that. Oh, pardon me. Oh, goodness. Goodness me. Asphaltum is such a versatile color. It does wonderful things. Look at that. So we have nice brown centers. I love Asphaltum for this. Thank you. Gesundheit. Dankeschön. Vielen Dank. I love happy stuff like this. I could see myself doing more of this on just about anything. I love this bright sunny yellow. It's so pretty. So I'm going to make sure my centers are nice and dry. Okay, Luz, way you go. It would be an easy one to carry all the way around. Quite honestly. Wouldn't this be pretty on a set of stools? I think it'd be pretty on so many things. Whew, goodness, having a moment. So I'm going to come back in now to the center with lamp black. And we're going to do two things with the lamp black. We're going to shade the center in the middle, and then we're going to shade it again in behind these forward petals. So I'm using my 3/8 angle. And in the center, if you look at the line drawing, there's a little divot. You see that little line drawn in the middle? And we're going to float into that with a little float of lamp black. Just give me 1 second here and I will bring it up to the camera so you can see a little clearer where I'm putting it. So in the center of each of those flowers, just a little divot. Okay? Is the series coming on this surface? You know, I'm in love with the surface. There's something about the shape that just does it for me. I don't know why. So don't be surprised if I end up doing a series on it. I did sunflowers on this piece that I'm doing at net this year that I absolutely love. So we're putting a float of lamp black at the very bottom of the center and right above those forward facing petals, these ones right here. And it's going to make these centers sit really nicely. So a little float here, all the way along that bottom edge, right up to the corner, like that. This is just going to give that center portion of the flower a little more dimension. and it really makes that flower jump. And then we're going to shade the yellow again. And we're really going to make this flower pop. This surface, it's pretty in a stand. It looks pretty hanging. It's such a very pretty surface, and I love how it looks. So we're going to take that same angled shader, and we're going to take asphaltum. Going to blend this out well. You don't want it full strength. You're going to blend it out well. And we're going to come to behind that center, right on the petals, and put a float of asphaltum. Right behind the center, along the bottom of each of those petals. And look, now we've got that depth. Everything starts to really take shape. I love what this does for this flower. That little float back there just makes everything so simple. Little float of asphaltum back there just gives this that little extra depth. Patrick is using his laser cutter. Absolutely. Patrick, you can use the line drawing to cut out the shapes. I usually incorporate the shape of the surface that I'm working on in the size of the surface I'm working on in my patterns. So if you need to use them to create an SVG to cut it, you certainly can. So this is also your opportunity to separate your petals, your individual flowers a little bit. See what that little float just at the back does? That's all we've done is just put that little float in the back. So now we've got even more depth in those daisies, and we're going to make it a little more still. So one of the tiny details in this flower is using a little bit of a texture. Now you can use a deer foot, you can use whatever works for you, quite honestly. I like using a little deer foot. Mine keeps escaping me for some reason. I have a little tiny one and I can never find it when I need it. But you can use the small deer foot. This one's a bit too big for this, but this is one of my favorites. This is the Dynasty 300 series. They have the turquoise handles. Just use a smaller deer foot. If you can't find one, use a small dry brush or a scruffy brush or something like that. You just need something small for that center. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. I can't find my, oh, I know what I'll do. It drives me batty when I can't find the brush that I want. And I wanted that little deer foot, so I can't find it. So I'm going to use a little filbert. I've got a little filbert here, a little scruffy one. I'm going to use a little bit of asphaltum on my brush. I just got this little filbert that's scruffy. A tiny deer foot will work just fine. You just need something that's got a little texture to it. So little scruffy brush, a little asphaltum in it, and you're going to pick up a tiny bit of margarita, just a tiny bit, and you're going to mix it with that asphaltum. And you're going to take that mixture and you're just going to add a fuzzy little bit to the top, like so. And along the edge of that little divot that we just painted in there, I'm going to put a little bit of that in. So across the top, let me pick up paint here. Across the top, like so. And then across that little divot. Just like that. It's much easier with a little deer foot. I'm going to do this with my scruffy. So across the top and then right along that nifty little divot that we shaded in there. Hi, Brenda. It's good to see you. Brenda Sawyer. There's Janet Roach. Hello, sweetie. You were lonely on Facebook. So she came over to join us on YouTube. That's good. So that little bit, I like mixing a little of that green with a little of the asphaltum. And it just gives you a subtle highlight on these centers. There we go. That's why I say a small deer foot does this so much nicer, but I can't find mine. I have a little 1/4 inch, or not even a 1/4 inch, like a 1/8 little teeny tiny deer foot, and I can't find it. It's probably hiding in one of the mini jars of brushes here. Web of confusion. Nancy K, yes. There's Nancy. Nancy's an old friend. We go back a great many years. There's Janet. Okay. So I've got my little highlights on my centers. So look at that. Look at how they're coming to life. Very nice. I like it. Hi, Lori. And Patty Drewer. Hello, Patty. Good to have you with us. Thank you, Janet. Yes, I am feeling a whole lot better. So we've got all of our shading done. We've got the highlights in. We have a few little texture things to pop into our the centers of our flowers. Now, I like doing that with, I don't want this to be really garish, so I'm going to do that with a little bit of the Sunny Day and with a little bit of that Margarita. I'm just going to pick up a little of those two colors on the tip of my rigger. And then I'm going to add just a few little dots like this. Fairly random and just light. I don't want tons of it on there, just a little bit. And I like to take a little of it off out onto some of the petals. Just a little. I don't want to go too heavy-handed with it because I don't want a ton of it. But I want a little bit, just to add a little texture and a little bit of light to the center of these flowers. Just keep it loose. Not too heavily structured, and I don't want them too big. So I'm just doing a very fine application of it. There we are. There we go. I like it when the paint is a little thin, like you've got a little water in it. It tends to make them look a little softer. Like these. Yeah, Rocklon is still available. You can get it. It's not that easy to find anymore, but you can get it. So there we go. Let's dry this. Now we have to start adding some of the details to these flowers. And this part is going to go very quickly. I'm going to be using my 5/0 extra long detail liner. I'm using a Dynasty Micron. It's this one right here. This is a liner. Grabbed the wrong one. There it is. Okay. My 5/0 extra long detail liner. I love these brushes. They come to a really nice point. They actually hold a fair amount of paint. You'd be surprised. So I'm going to thin out a little bit of Margarita. Quite thin. You want it inky because you're going to add a little bit of white to it just to make it a little lighter than the rest of this. And you're going to use that to connect these leaves. And I always like to have a little bit of that in the center of the leaf as well, just to give it a center vein, like so. There we go. Even if you can't see what it's connected to, it still needs to look connected. So even if you have to take it off the page or underneath something, that's okay. It has to have some direction and it has to stay connected to the overall. Having them floating around out there just doesn't work. So as much as I like that, I like to go around the outside edges of my leaves with that thinned color. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be right on the edge of the leaf. It can go on or it can go off. It just doesn't matter. But I like to put a little flick at the end of the leaves. I like that little point. I like the outline. It just gives these leaves a softness instead of looking too flat and perfectly symmetrical. I like that there's something that is imperfect about them. I like that irregular edge. They're softer. Gives the leaves nice texture. Makes them delicate. So if your paint is not staying thin enough for you, just put a little bit more Joe Sonia's into it. It'll thin out. So again, I'm just using a little bit of thinned Margarita, and I've added just a little bit of warm white to it, just enough to make it a little more opaque and a little bit lighter. Just a little. I don't need it to be a drastic change, but just a little. I have always liked this more delicate look to leaves. I like those little irregularities. Now, I have a little curlicue in here. I love a nice curlicue. Of course, I mess it up. There we go. That's better. So, nice little curlicue. Little vines, tendrils. I love vines and tendrils. So one last one. There we go. Et voila. Pretty, pretty. So I'm going to dry that really well because I've thinned it out quite a bit. So I'll make sure that it's really dry. Hi, Georgia. And Marianne. And Judy Cormier. Nice to see you here. And Denise, it also covers a multitude of mistakes. Yes, it does. And if you can't get all of your graphite lines off, it also covers those up. So I want to make sure that it's nice and dry. How fun is that? Now, we do have a bunch of little detail work to do shortly, but I want to get this lettering on. So I have flipped my paper back over, and I'm going to put my graphite paper on. I will tell you a rather embarrassing little thing I did today. When I was tracing my line drawing on, I got the whole thing done and realized that my graphite paper was upside down again. Like, who does that? Yes, my brush is setting in my paint. Thank you. Honestly. Good gravy, Marie. I've got brushes strewn all over the counter here. I should put some of them away. Dry brushes away. And I'm going to put that one away. I'm going to be working with a zero rigger, if I can find it. There it is. Okay, I got a zero rigger. I've also got this. I know the guys are going, world's smallest rigger. This is a 10-aught rigger. Like, who in their right mind has a 10-aught rigger? I do. But I'm not in my right mind, so that explains that, huh? Honestly, some days I'm amazed that I can manage to do anything without losing everything. Oh, I actually have a paint mark on my graphite paper to remind me which side is up and which is down, and I still make that mistake, so... Yep. So I'm using a red gel pen to trace with. This is my favorite. I love these red gel pens for a couple of reasons. One, the red is very bright, and you can see it even over top of the black. So it shows up very well. The other thing is that it has a very fine point. It's a 0.38 millimeter. So it leaves a very fine line in the graphite. So you're not having to struggle to get rid of these thick graphite lines. They're very, very fine, which is, I love that. I find it so frustrating when you get thick graphite marks on things. I just don't like it. It's one of the reasons that I don't use a stylus. I prefer to use this red gel pen because, one, I can see where I've been, I can see where I've missed something, and two, it's a nice fine line. It's so much easier to get rid of a fine line than it is a thick one. And there we are. I think that's done it all. It has. Look at that. No, it hasn't. Honestly, I knew I missed that one. I went back over it. That's why. There we go. my graphite paper. Oh. So now that I've got my lettering on, I can get rid of my line drawing. And I'm going to put that away. Now I'm using a number 0 rigger. I'm going to give myself a clean palette so that I stop rolling brushes in wet paint. Clean palette. Going to be using warm white. Oof. And we're going to be using a little bit of lamp black and a little bit of asphaltum. So I've got 3 colors on my palette. Warm white, lamp black, and asphaltum. There we go. Look at that. I haven't seen anything, Janet. Which doesn't surprise me. Our mail has been terribly slow. Terribly slow. One of the girls just got her order shipped over a month ago. And it just went letter mail. So the mail has been awful. So I'm using a 0 rigger. And warm white. This is what we're going to use to paint our lettering. And then I'm using my, where did my angle brush go? I am using my black gold 3/8 angle. So we're going to start with a shading that goes around our lettering, and I'm going to do that with lamp black. And we're going to put a float on the inside edge of the lettering. Darkest value facing the left side. Just like that. These do not need to be perfect floats. They don't have to be neat and tidy because we're going to paint the lettering afterwards. So as long as we get it in, that's all that matters. So look at that. Easy peasy, right? So it looks really sloppy, and that's okay, because it's just the shadow that gives this lettering a little bit of lift. So it's not perfect, it's not fancy, it's just there. And it's going to be very subtle. It isn't going to be a super strong shadow. It's just going to give this lettering a little lift. And it's particularly important where it overlaps a leaf or where it overlaps a polka dot. But it's not really super obvious. So I'm using a little bit of my fast dry glaze, and we're going to thin out some warm whites. And we're going to use this 0 rigger. You can use a number 2 if you don't have a 0. A number 2 will do the job. And then we're going to use that thinned warm white to paint in those bigger areas of this lettering. Look at that. Now, because the rigger is shaped the way it is, it allows us to use it almost like a calligraphy pen, because it's shaped like a flat. And so it has a chisel edge like a flat. And so you can do things like this. I can hear my husband putting a fire on. It's a good day for a fire. Ooh, too much liquid in my brush. So, I've made a mess. So, I've got way too much liquid in my brush. And so I want to take all that white paint off. So I've got a little bit of water, and I'm using an angled shader to scrub it away. So, there we go. He's gone. And I'm going to dry that real quick. And then I'm going to come back in. I've reloaded. That's much better. Now, people are always intimidated by lettering, which has always made me wonder why, because we all write, we all know how to print our name, how to write our name, and yet when it comes to painting any type of lettering, everybody panics. And so the best advice I can ever give you about painting any kind of lettering is quite simply this. Don't treat it like it's a separate art form. Treat it like it's any other part of your painted piece. So if you have to sit and paint in every segment little by little, then that's what you do, but treat it like you're base coating anything else. Janet Roach. And then you won't be so intimidated by painting lettering. So it looks a little rough because you can still see the graphite lines and everything under there. So I'm going to dry this, and then I'm going to grab my favorite eraser, and we're going to clean up all those graphite lines. Lettering always looks so much better when you get rid of the graphite lines. So here we go. I'm going to erase all those graphite lines. And look how nice and clean our lettering looks. Now with all the graphite gone. Everything looks so much better when the graphite's gone. So we're going to come in with that angled shader. I'm using a 3/8, and we're going to pick up a little bit of asphaltum. And I'm just going to put a little float of asphaltum along the bottom of each of those letters. Just like that. Nothing fancy, just a little float, just to tone it and bring it into that background. The nice part is because we've already put asphaltum on our background, when you put on a little more, it's going to disappear into it. So I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to finish the details on our daisies, and then we'll paint our ladybug. We're almost done with this piece. The other thing too is this piece looks so pretty when it's all varnished. Just jumps. So for all of those little details in our daisies, I love this. This is one of my favorite tools. This is a Uniball Signo 0.38 with black Sakura ink. And it has a stainless steel ball, so it creates really beautiful fine lines. And it works really well over acrylic paint. So we're going to put some little lines at the base of the leaves, like so. And a little scribbly outline on our flower. And then a scribbly outline on each of those petals. It does not have to be perfect. It can go off the petal. It can go onto the black. Keep it fine, keep it light, keep it irregular. Neatness does not count for this. Perfection is to be avoided at all costs. So all of these little lines that you put in, just add a little extra detail to these petals. They keep our flowers looking textured. They add a little simple outline. I've always liked an outline on things, but I find if it's too big, it looks heavy and it makes the image look heavy. So I like a finer line. So I've turned to using the gel pen for this. And I prefer a scribbly line because it keeps things soft and delicate looking. So it enhances these petals and all those little details without making things look heavy or overdone. Comme ça.
Still got the ladybug to do?
We just have the ladybug left. Yeah, we're almost there. Here we go. That little squiggly line that goes around it just adds a little more depth to our petals. And of course, this is what I do. If you don't like doing this, that's fine. You can do this your way. You can leave it out if you prefer not to. I'm not going to be upset with you. I love this look. I just think I like the texture it adds to things, and I do love my texture. Valman reminded me yesterday of all the years that I've been doing this. And it dawned on me the other day that, my goodness, I mean, I have known some of you for 20 years or more, and some of you I've only known for a short time, and yet you're all like family to me. So it's awesome. What is this? Renee's voice is so deep. Oh my God. Nancy, you have no idea. There's times where he sounds so much like my dad. It's scary. Yes, Renee has a very deep voice. Here we go. Almost there. You made it back in time, Lucy. Good for you. So, look at this. I love this detail. I could sit and do this for hours. I do this on bumblebees and ladybugs and butterflies. I just like there's something almost cathartic about it, to sit and just add little scribbly bits to things. It's just a fun way to get a little detail and a little extra. I love doing this. It's pretty on a variety of things. And because I use so many different media, I incorporate ink, I incorporate stamps and stencils and acrylic paint and gold leaf and a variety of things into so many of the pieces that I paint. I always seal mine with a couple of coats, light coats, with some sort of a fixative. My personal favorite, I'm a big fan of the Decort matte spray, so that's the one I use. But there's several different brands. All of them will work. Absolutely, all of them will work just fine. Just a couple of light coats just to seal everything in, and then you're ready to varnish with your favorite finisher. So if you prefer to use a matte varnish or a high gloss or whatever it is, you're able to. Using that fixative just sets things so that they're not going to be bothered by anything. So it just eliminates the possibility of things not being compatible. Just saves a whole lot of time and energy in the long run. So, yes, I brush on varnish, but I prefer to seal it first. I put a fixative on top. Matte spray is my choice. So, look at that. So, just so you can see that line, I'm not talking about heavy line here. It's super fine. I love that little detail. It just gives a little extra texture to these flowers. So, our flowers are done. I gotta find my ladybug. So the ladybug is about 2 inches across. You're going to need maybe a little piece of wood, an old wooden button, or even a piece of cardboard about 1/8 of an inch thick. You can make it higher if you want to. That's entirely up to you. I'm using a little piece of scrap MDF to glue mine on. We're going to use a little bit of lamp black. I've got my round brush here somewhere. And a little bit of lamp black. I'm going to paint the head with that lamp black. Comme ça. And there's a little triangle right here at the base. I'm going to paint that black too. Just like that. I'm going to dry those because it's me, and I'll have it everywhere, all over myself and everything else if I don't. Oh, absolutely. Varnishing really makes the colors pop. I love that. My finished piece here has 2 light coats of Deckwart matte spray and then 2 coats of Deckwart's Ultra Matte Varnish. I love the Ultra Matte finish. I like the look of it, but that's a personal preference. What type of brush do I use to varnish with? This. I have this brush in 2 different sizes, but I love this one. This is a water lily. It's a large filbert or a large cat's tongue. I also have it in a faux squirrel. Those are my favorite varnishing brushes. They're very, very soft. They don't produce a lot of brush marks, and they just go on so beautifully. Yep, the ladybug is on the website. You can get the surface. It comes with the ladybug. But we do have them separate. I'm going to pour out a little of this. This is one of the other new colors the Deckwart put out this year. This is Crimson Red. This color is gorgeous, but it's very transparent. And we're going to use that for the body of our ladybug. So I'm going to use 2 coats of this beautiful red, and it is a gorgeous red. Has a little bit of blue in it. It's that, I like to call them a blue red, so it's a cooler red. Whereas my other favorite is country red, and it's a warm red. This one is a cool red. And yes, this ladybug would make a cute pin, wouldn't it? Now, you can take that red out onto the edges if you like. I kind of like it that way, but I find with that darker edge, it's really hard to get the coverage. But you put a little red out there on the edge, like so. I'm going to let it, give it a chance to dry here. Now, the fun part about a ladybug, I love ladybugs. The fun part about them is that they have polka dots. And there's different types of ladybugs. I learned quite a bit about them recently. There's yellow ladybugs, there's dark red ladybugs, there's orange ladybugs, there's a variety of ladybugs. Some bite, some don't. So it's, you know, so it gives you a little bit of leeway to be, let's call it creative license. You can, if you want to, your ladybug can be bright red, or it can be an orangey red, or it could be, a sort of a marigold yellow if you want. I chose a ladybug for this piece because yellow and red are complementary colors, and they do very, very well with each other. And they stand out. I love the red stands out. So down the center, you see this little triangle? From the point of that triangle up to the top, we're going to put a black line. We're going to do that with, you can use a Sharpie. I'm going to use one of these wonderful pens that I can never remember the name of. Identi-Pen. Yes, Robin, I actually had to look. I can never remember what these are called. It's the dumbest thing. I'm looking, there's my stencil. So I'm going to draw a line straight up from the point of that little triangle down at the base to the top. Ta-da! Just a straight line. You could paint it in, doesn't matter. I'm just, for the sake of expediency, I'm using, yes, the orange colored ladybugs bite. So we've got little ladybug. Now, you can use the same size stencil that you used to do the polka dots in the background. You can use that to do the polka dots on your ladybug. They do not have to go in any order. This is not a real ladybug, and we're not aiming for a real ladybug, so they can go anywhere you want. If you prefer to freehand them on, knock yourself out. You can do whatever you want to your piece. So I'm going to use a little bit of lamp black, and I'm using a 3/8 polka dot, a much bigger polka dot. And I'm going to stencil my dot on. Look at that. And I'm going to put one down here as well. Now I'm just guesstimating. And this one is going to go in the middle between the two, but going to go off the surface a little bit because it's my party and I can do what I want. What is the secret for my hands and nails? Lotion for the hands and acrylic. That's the secret. The hands, it's lotion. And it's my own. I make, well, it's not really a lotion. It's actually a lip balm. Too freaking many allergies. There we go. So I'm going to stencil that on there. A little bit of lamp black. Look at that. Ladybug. It's a cute ladybug. I'm going to make sure it's dry though, before we do this next step. Fun. Now we're going to put a shadow at the bottom of our ladybug. What size cat's tongue? It's a 1 inch. It's a very big brush. Nice big 1 inch. We're going to put a float of lamp black across the bottom of our ladybug to about the halfway point. So halfway down and then all the way around to the other side. Does not have to be a perfect float. Just need to get a little color down there. Whew. There. So darker at the bottom. And then we're going to dry brush little highlights. Yes, Robin, I did see that. That was so cool. We're going to put a dry brushed highlight at the top of this ladybug. Oh, did I ever mess up that float? Need to redo it because I wiped off most of it. There we go. That's better. Okay. Ended up with just a line at the bottom. That did not work. There we go. That's much better. Like I said, some days elevator doesn't go to the top floor. I'm going to grab my dry brush and a little bit of warm white. And I do mean a little bit. We don't want a ton of white on this brush. And we're going to put, oh, too much, still too much. Good gravy, Marie. Okay. All right. So we're going to put a nice little highlight at the top of those wings. Right there. Just soft. We don't need it to be really strong, just a soft highlight. And we're going to do the same thing to the top of the head on our ladybug. Just at the top, like so. Little highlights, little highlights. Keep it soft. Don't need it to be really bright. Looking good. And then we're going to take that rigger and a little bit of that warm white. And we're going to give it a little highlight there. And we also want one on our ladybug right here. Little comma stroke, just for a bright highlight on that side. Our ladybug is super simple, and that one is done. Now, I like mine to sit up a little bit higher. It can be glued directly onto the surface. There's nothing to say that it has to be elevated. So if you prefer to have it just sitting on the surface, that's fine. Or if you prefer to trace it on and just paint it, also perfectly fine. But I like mine a little elevated. So I'm going to take 2 of these little 1/8 pieces and take the cap off my favorite glue. I'm going to put a little bit of glue here. And I'm going to glue those 2 pieces together like so. And then I'm going to put a little glue here. And I'm going to drop that in the center of the ladybug like that. I'm going to give that a couple of minutes to set. And then I don't glue it right away. I like to set it down and have a look at it and decide if that's where I want it. If I want it higher, if I want it over here, if I want it in the middle. And you can choose to put it wherever you want. I like this position here just because it brings it in line and it draws the eye to that little bit of red. And then it allows all of this to show up. So I'll put a little bit of glue on the back of that and position it. And the glue that I'm using, I fell in love with this one because a fellow creative sent it to me. This is Art Glitter Designer Dries Clear Adhesive. This stuff is phenomenal. If you're looking for some, go and check out artglitter.com. And if you're looking to buy some, go and check out theteawife.com. She's phenomenal. Her name is Kathy McAllister. She's amazing, incredibly creative. And she gifted me with a bottle of this, and now I'm addicted to it. So, awesome glue.
Is that the same bottle?
It is. Yeah. Although it's getting low.
Order some.
Misa's going to have to order some more. I just see a graphite line I need to clean up. There we go. So there we go. There is our bright, sunny welcome.
Does the breadboard have a ladybug?
The breadboard does have a ladybug. I love the ladybug. And like I said, I use the 3/8 polka dot for this one. I use the 1/4 for this one. It's super easy to do. Use the stencil. Do those polka dots. Don't kill yourself. We have to teach Maze to paint, apparently. Apparently there's a belt. Well, not apparently. Robin Storm sent me a video of a Malinois painting.
Yeah, I saw that one. That's Monkey.
Is that Monkey?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So there you go. So Renee has Carolyn Sponderberg. Thanks. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Carolyn. It's a fun piece. Oh, there's Sheila.
Hey.
Renee, your mom needs more glue for Mother's Day. I say Sheila. There she is.
Are you ready for the wheel?
Yes, I think they're ready for the wheel. Are you guys ready for the wheel? This is such a fun piece to paint. It was fun to design. It's one of those things where you find yourself sitting there and giggling because it was coming out exactly the way I wanted it to. Linda, you're very welcome. Linnell. This is such a fun piece to paint. Super easy.
I got my licking stick.
You got your... This licking sticks. I like the ladybug in this. I just think it's pretty touch. If you're not a fan of ladybugs, a butterfly would be pretty. So would a bumblebee. But a nice brightly colored ladybug in a bright blue or something. Oh, you love my hair? Thank you, Sheila. Is this one in a kit? Yes, it is. Yeah, we do have it as a kit. And the breadboard is just fun to do. It's super cute. Great way. Sit on the deck with a glass of whatever blows your hair back and you can paint bright sunny days. Did we get the name? Everybody's name is on that wheel. How many names are on that wheel? Oh my goodness. There's over 200. You ready to spin?
I can spin whenever you guys are
Spin
ready.
it away.
Spinning. Got my licking sticks. The first name is
Diana Irvin. If your name is in the chat, it's on the wheel. Do we have absolute amateur kits?
Absolute Amateur Kids.
Yes, because we have video for all of those kits. So yeah, we do.
All right. Second line. Ba-doop. Absolute Amateur Kids. Like never picked up a brush kit?
Yeah. Zoila Burling. There's a lot of new names on here. So just a reminder, guys, that if your name shows up during the wheel, you've got to hop over to the website and click on the little speech bubble in the lower right-hand corner of the screen and send us your shipping information so that we can get your goodies off to you as quickly as possible. Kay Reynolds wants to know what to do for yeasty paws.
Yeasty paws?
Mm-hmm.
If your dog's paws are yeasty, it's usually because of their diet.
Ooh.
Not getting enough fiber.
Ooh.
So add peppers. Try and get a limited ingredient dog food.
Mm-hmm. Frozen yellow and red peppers.
Frozen yellow and red peppers. Not green ones.
No, not green ones. They don't like the green ones, but yeah, frozen. That's what Maze gets daily, a couple of times a day. She gets peppers for treats.
But there are... Yeah. There's also shampoos that'll help
Yep.
with it. And it depends if you like the Dorito smell or not.
And we have one more.
us mystery package. That one's got some goodies in it.
They all have goodies in them. Betty knew us.
You know that one.
I do. Betty's one of our members. And I've known Betty and her sister for years. They used to come to my classes all the time when we were still traveling. So, awesome. All right, guys, that's it for us this weekend. Thanks so much for joining us as you do every Saturday. We love having you here. I really am quite excited about this little project that's coming up next Saturday because you're going to have a lot of fun with it. It's something goofy, something silly, and something fun to paint, and it's super easy. So if you are not an experienced painter, you're going to love it. If you are an experienced painter, you're going to have a lot of fun with it because we're going to be doing a variety of techniques to create some interesting flowers and some fun little details. So come and join us. We're going to be working with chickens and pigs.
Holistic veterinarian? No! No, I have a certificate in veterinary science and animal behavior. Not a holistic veterinarian.
Holistic. Anyway, Margie Eaton, Debbie Marlowe, Beverly, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. So, that's it for us today. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great weekend. Hopefully you're having some fine weather, and if you're not, stay home and paint. We love you.
What if we don't want to?
We love you. Stay safe.
Stop fighting. And pet your dog.
Pet your dog.
Let me find the button. That one.
There it is.